When President Trump took office, the nation was facing financial catastrophe under the failed leadership of the Biden administration and decades of status quo spending strangling our nation. Those decades produced nothing in the area of fiscal restraint. A lot of talk about the problem, but utter futility about doing anything about it. That fiscal futility ended with the return of President Trump. In just 1 year, the Trump administration and Congress have made historic progress on righting our fiscal ship, the speed and scope of which have not been seen in Washington for many years. The president drove enactment of the Working Families Tax Cut Act, which is a once-in-a-generation legislation to end fiscal futility, invest in critical priorities, and cut and extend taxes for working Americans. This bill bent the cost curve for federal spending, achieving nearly $2 trillion in mandatory savings, while securing historic investments in our nation's defense and the Department of Homeland Security without corresponding increases in objectionable non-defense spending. The president also shepherded legislation through Congress that rescinded $9 billion in wasteful spending, which was the first standalone rescissions package enacted by the Congress since 1992. He canceled $3 billion in excessive spending that was wrongly designated as an emergency by Congress and executed a historic pocket rescission to eliminate $5 billion in wasteful foreign aid. Upon signing this year's appropriations bills, President Trump continued to bring discretionary spending under control. The full year 2026 appropriations bills enacted the first real cut to spending in over a decade. It rooted out wasteful spending that the administration identified across federal agencies. The enacted bills reaffirm administration policy to eliminate ineffective federal agencies that do not serve a useful purpose. For example, the bills eliminated all programming for USAID as the administration works to fully shut down the agency after decades of mismanagement and abuse. This also included the complete elimination of the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which funneled billions of dollars into biased and woke programming at NPR and PBS. We look forward to working with you to achieve even more progress in this year's appropriation cycle. The 2027 budget builds on the president's vision by continuing to constrain non-defense spending and reform the federal government. The budget proposes a 10% cut to non-defense compared to 2026 levels. Within this total, the budget maintains investments in border security, immigration enforcement, delivers on the president's commitment to support law enforcement and combat violent crime with a 13% increase to the Department of Justice, and honors the nation's sacred obligation to military veterans. In addition, the 2027 budget eliminates wasteful green new scam projects that are dependent on foreign supply chains, returns control of education back to American families, and roots out waste, fraud, and abuse in programs both at home and abroad, ensuring that every taxpayer dollar makes America safer, stronger, and more prosperous. The budget simultaneously builds on the historic $1 trillion fiscal year 26 defense top line by requesting $1.5 trillion for 2027, a 42% increase as promised by President Trump last year. This budget will ensure the United States continues to maintain the world's most powerful and capable military as we grapple with an increasingly dangerous world. It is a sizable increase that I want to explain. It is meant for significant paradigm-shifting investments. For instance, the President and his Department of War are exhibiting tremendous leadership to build more ships, planes, drones, munitions, and satellites faster without the backlog status quo. For the industrial base to double and triple capabilities, actually build more facilities, not just add shifts, it requires multi-year agreements to purchase into the future. That cost has to be booked in the first year. Under President Trump's bold leadership, every tool in the executive toolbox has been used to achieve real savings, and our administration will continue to do so. A historic paradigm shift in the process is occurring. It's producing real results for the American public. Fiscal futility is over. Now that our fiscal ship has finally turned to face in the right direction, I look forward to working with you to continue to move it forward. Together, we will achieve significant budgetary savings while implementing the president's bold vision.